Okay, so I'm gonna use my second blog to hopefully get something off my chest which happened to occur at Polytechnic. To start with, when I initially went there, first time around, things were relatively okay. I didn't complete my certificate 4s, which is unfortunate, so I decided, well, let's go through and redo it. Knowing myself, I knew that I would not be able to complete certificate 4 just by jumping straight into it. So I decided to go through and redo certificate 3, which I found relatively easy. Now yes, that may be wasting time, however, in order to do certificate 4s, I needed to have certificate 3 redone, so all the knowledge that I've forgotten would have come back and relearnt it. And I was fine going through and redoing that. But, this is a big but, I have to say. I wasn't notified until later that apparently all the certificate 4 stuff had been moved down to certificate 3. What did that mean? It meant that the courses I knew that I couldn't do were there, and I was doing them, which didn't come apparent to me until later on, and when I was informed about that. I did inform the teachers there during the initial sign up that, hey, I can't do certificate 4 stuff, I need to go through doing blah blah blah. But no one told me initially that. I was only told that afterwards, which rather useless. The second thing is that they didn't actually seem to listen to me that well. Of course, usually someone such as myself would have an advocate or a carer or whoever, someone could come along and say, hey, this is how you have to do things. I ended up being the person who did that. Didn't work out so well. Unfortunately, that's the part where I wish I did have someone. They could have turned around up front and said, hey, you can't do this. When I tried to tell them, hey, this isn't working, it was, first it wasn't really listened to. Here's their book. This is the Polytechnic book. The TAFE book as well was written by some TAFE teachers or whatever. I decided to take this to a university teacher, sort of a friend, and they looked at it and they told me that, this isn't the direct words, but it could be worded better. Very long, lengthy book. What I did was I covered it with contact to protect it, and I also still had the CD, which is in good condition. So as you can see, I don't really take care of my books. I cover them with contact and then just toss them about. Anyway, that's how careless I am with them. So, what caused other issues, and I'm trying to keep an eye on the time here, what caused me other issues, when the teachers wouldn't listen to me, it made things difficult. Now yes, I've been there before, however I wasn't having some serious stress issues at home, and unfortunately it spilled over into Polytechnic and caused some other problems. When I did try to tell them something like, hey, you need to tell me if I'm doing something wrong, you just can't, I tried explaining everything to them and they didn't listen. This led to problems where I would do something wrong, I'd do something that wasn't considered normal or destructive or whatever, and they didn't tell me about it. They didn't say, hey, you know, you can't do that straight up, and I did tell them that's what they need to do. I told them to tell me to shut up even if I started talking when I shouldn't, and they didn't do that. Somebody in the class required a special chair. They got that, and there's something more funny about that which I'll hopefully be able to get onto later on. Anyway, when it came to the point where everything spilled over, I mean, I got right behind in that book when I first got into it. I knew there's no way I was going to be able to keep up with the rest of the class. A few other people were having some issues, but then again, this is the text. So I freaked out about it and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I did this up front. I didn't shy away and say, I actually got up. No, I didn't get up. I informed them directly that, hey, I'm going to have trouble with this. I can't do it. That was, they didn't pay much attention to that. They didn't seem to want to really help when it came to going through that exercise. One of the other, that was with one teacher. The teacher that had me the last time I was at TAFE, I don't get this part. We were given assignments, and we were told that we have to notify our teachers or our instructors to come over, inspect the work, and then mark us off. What my teacher did was he'd go around and he apparently would look over my shoulder or just check to see if I'm doing something. And I always had things pretty much well up on the screen. What he would do is he would mark me off for something, but then not tell me about it. This caused issues where I would sit there for sometimes hours, or I'd sit there for an entire class. I mean an entire class. I would sit there, twiddling my thumbs. I would jump on the internet since I didn't have it at home at the time, and look at stuff and probably download one or two things that weren't that big. And then I would come back to the point where I'd be confused. I had no idea that it marked off something, and until I was finally able to get him to come over, which sometimes took probably 2 or 3 weeks. Yes, it did take a while, and it was rather annoying, so I spent whole classes either doing other work or twiddling my thumbs or whatever. I tried to find something to keep myself occupied. The teacher came around and said, "Oh no, I've already marked you off for that." And I'm sitting there and thinking, what? You didn't tell me. "Oh no, Michael, I keep an eye on what you're doing." And I'm sitting there and thinking, well, that's not a help. Anyway, I'm going to have to make a second video for this, so I'm going to have to stop it right here.